Okay, here's something that happened to me a while ago. I'm a girl, and this happened in 2016. Back then, I was 23 years old. I wasn't going to college anymore. Instead, I was living at my boyfriend's parents' house. This all happened in a big city called Houston in Texas. So one evening, I had gone to see my family in the middle of the city. My boyfriend, however, stayed in a place a bit far from the city's center. Later that night, I was driving back to where my boyfriend lived. I took a big road called Interstate 45 and was going towards another big road, 1960. I quickly looked in the small mirror in my car. I noticed a car right behind me. The car behind me seemed to be going super fast, like they almost missed the road they wanted to take. Because of this, I drove a bit faster, just to be safe. I didn't want to wait at the big red lights on 1960. So I thought I'd take a small road I knew. It would get me home faster. Even though it was around 10 at night and this small road was a bit dark, I wasn't scared. I had driven here many times before, but then I saw that speedy car from before. It was trying to get on the same small road as me. I thought maybe it was a coincidence. A lot of people know this shortcut. This little road is pretty small, with only 2 lanes. After driving on it for about 10 minutes, it meets a bigger road. The more I drove, the more I felt like the car behind was sticking too close to me. Whenever I tried to go faster, they did the same. Soon I reached a traffic light. I had to turn left. But I had an idea. What if I pretend to turn but then go straight? I wanted to see if this car was really following me. I didn't want them to know where my boyfriend lived. So, at the light, I acted like I was going to turn. But when the light turned green, I quickly drove straight ahead, going really fast. I felt super scared when that car did the same thing. They drove straight through the light, following me. Now I was getting close to a neighborhood and there were just 2 more traffic lights. I was super scared. My mind was racing, trying to figure out what to do. The car behind me had such bright lights. I couldn't see who was inside or what the car really looked like, so I wasn't sure if calling the cops would do any good. I know I probably should have thought differently. I sped up a lot when I reached the next traffic light. It was red, but I went through it anyway, hoping that would make the car behind me stop. But guess what? They didn't stop. They drove through the red light too, and before we got to the next light, they turned off their lights. It made everything even darker since the area was already not very bright. There was a bit of hope ahead, though. I knew that the upcoming traffic light had a gas station and a McDonald's facing each other. I thought if I could get there, there'd be people around. Maybe the person in the car wouldn't want to do anything if others were watching. I quickly drove into the McDonald's. The car behind me didn't follow. Instead, they made a fast U-turn. From the McDonald's parking lot, I looked back to see if they were really leaving. It seemed like they drove far away, as far as my eyes could see. Feeling shaky, I called my sister. I was super nervous. While on the phone, I went to the McDonald's counter and ordered a drink. There were other people there, which made me feel a bit safer. So I decided to stay there for a while. I chatted with my sister, and she tried to make me feel better. After a bit, I was still too scared to go back to my car and drive. I thought, what if that creepy car was hiding somewhere, waiting to follow me again? I can't believe I didn't call the police. Those next few minutes, driving from McDonald's to my boyfriend's place, were the longest minutes ever. And when I finally got to his house, I was so scared to leave my car. Thankfully, nothing like that has ever happened to me again. Ladies, always be on alert. And everyone, please stay safe out there. I was a girl and was 17 years old when this happened. Now, I'm 22, but I still think about this all the time. One evening, it was a Friday. I was out with my 2 buddies, Lisa and Amy. We first went to a big store called Target. We spent some time there looking at stuff and buying things. After that, Lisa, who had a car, said she'd drive us to the shopping center. We were excited to get new clothes and other fun stuff. While we were on our way, something scary happened. There were 3 boys who went up to another man in a car in front of us. They showed him their guns. Lisa, Amy, and I got really scared. Amy quickly called the emergency number, which is 911. Those bad boys dragged the man out of his car. They hit him really hard again and again. One of them hit his face multiple times. Then one of those boys did the worst thing. He used his gun and shot the man in his head. We were sure the man didn't survive that. The bad thing is, they didn't just stop there. They took the man's car and sped away. I had been recording everything with my phone, so I had a video of the whole thing. When the police came, I showed them the video. They listened to what Lisa, Amy, and I had to say, and took the video to help them. But we didn't just go home. We still went to the shopping center. We tried to take our minds off things by shopping for clothes, looking at cool gadgets, and eating at the food place. Even with all that, we were still scared. Amy and I thought it would be better if we slept over at Lisa's house. We felt safer together. The next day, my phone rang. It was a police officer. He said they found those bad boys. All 3 of them were caught and had to face big punishments for stealing, hurting the man, and killing him. I was so relieved. I put the call on loudspeaker so Lisa and Amy heard everything. Now, after all this time, I still can't forget that day. To those 3 bad boys who did such a horrible thing, I wish you get what you deserve. Once upon a time, when I was 19 years old, I'm 26 now, I had an experience that I still remember. It was a weekend evening, around 9:30 p.m. I was leaving my buddy John's house to go to my other friend Mike's place. Even though John's and Mike's houses were super close, just a quick 3-minute drive, that night, it took me way longer than it should have. Here's why. Before leaving John's house, I took out my phone and sent a quick text to Mike. "Hey, on my way, be there in a bit." Hopping into my car, I started my short journey. I hadn't driven for long when, just as I was turning a bend, I saw another car. This car was backing out from its home and was now facing me. The driver inside flashed their bright car lights at me. Did I do something wrong? I wondered. Maybe I had my own bright lights on. But no, they were off. But then, something weird happened. As I passed this car, it started moving again and began to follow me. Every now and then, they'd flash their super bright lights at me from behind. At first, I thought they were just playing a joke or something. But then, they got faster and closer and kept flashing those lights at me. So I thought, I need to get away. I stepped on the gas and quickly turned a corner. Hoping to trick them, I pulled over to the side and switched off my car lights. I hoped they hadn't seen where I'd gone. But alas, they had. They also stopped their car about a short distance behind me. It was all dark and quiet. I looked in my rearview mirror, hoping nobody would come out of their car to confront me. Those 3 minutes felt like hours. But luckily, they stayed put. Taking a deep breath, I switched my car and lights back on and drove away. But so did they. Suddenly, it felt like I was in a movie. They raced behind me, copying every turn I made. Left, right, left again. My heart raced. Then I got an idea. I drove fast, turned into a random house's driveway and hid, turning everything off. I ducked down, hoping they wouldn't see me. Not long after, the other car slowly, very slowly, drove past where I was hiding. I waited for what felt like forever before I felt safe enough to move. Finally, I made it to Mike's house without any more problems. I told him the whole story. It made me realize that in Australia, not only do we have to watch out for wild creatures like kangaroos and snakes, but there are also some really unpredictable humans around. So always be alert and safe.